Happy Thursday, guys. How are you? We're about to do chapter 7 in our Hank book, okay? So that means we're almost halfway through with the book. We've done 6 chapters. There are 12 chapters, but going by pages, we're almost at the halfway mark, okay? So I hope that you have been catching up and that you are at a point that you can follow along. Like I said, we're on chapter 7. When I read yesterday chapter 6, this was about when he met the buzzards. Remember, what were their names? Wallace and Junior. Wallace was the old man, Junior is the son, and he has what? Stuttering problem, okay? So, last thing happened was, what did they work out? Hank and the buzzards work out for them to bite the string off of Hank's neck and get rid of that chicken head because it was stinking. And that's how the buzzards came about to begin with, because they smelled this dead thing around Hank's neck. So now they go to sleep, and that's where we left off. Because Junior says that he's hungry, and Hank said, if you make one move, I'm going to clean this canyon with your carcass. So that's where he left off. All right. Chapter 7, True Love. Wonder who is going to be having some true love. Actually, there wasn't any breakfast, and then there wasn't any lunch, and along toward the middle of the afternoon, it occurred to me that if I wanted to eat, I would have to get out and hustle some grub. I left the camp and I lit out north, figuring I would scout the head of the canyon. I hadn't gone far when I stopped dead in my tracks. I heard something, kind of a clanking sound. I slipped behind a bush, and I studied the country ahead. I kept hearing that sound, but I couldn't see what was causing it. Then my sharp cowdog eyes picked up some movement. At first glance, it appeared to be a medium-sized, bushy-tailed dog stumbling around without a head. Well, that didn't make any sense. I'm not so easily fooled. My years of security work told me that there was more to this thing, so I decided to investigate. A dog without a head? I didn't believe it. I moved closer, and I pieced together the following details. Number 1, the subject wasn't a dog. He was a coyote, age approximately 3 years and 5 months, weight 37 pounds, length including the tail, 43 inches. Number 2, he was not a he. He was a she, meaning a female of the species, rather homely as coyotes tend to be, but not without charm. Number 3, subject had stuck her head into a Hawaiian punch can with the top cut out. The can had lodged around her ears and gotten stuck there, leaving her blind and helpless. One of the first rules you learn as a cowdog is that cowdogs and coyotes don't mix. They're natural enemies, the former devoted to the protection of home, livestock, and civilization, the latter devoted to a desolate lifestyle based on raiding, depredation, and uncivilized forms of behavior. In other words, I had every reason to walk away and leave that coyote to her fate, which was a slow, lingering death. In this business, you cannot be sentimental, which means you can't feel sorry for coyotes, okay? So, Hank hears this clank, clank, clank. He goes up and he sees this, he sees this dog without a head. Then it turns out it's not a dog and it's a coyote, and he says it's a he, and then it turns out it's not a he, it's a she, and she has her head stuck in a can. Still, death inside of a Hawaiian punch can seemed too cruel even for a coyote. So he actually kind of thought about leaving her there. And then he said, that's really kind of very, very cruel. I just couldn't walk away and leave her to die, even though I had a feeling that if I helped her, I would regret it. Afternoon, ma'am. My name's Hank the Cowdog. Appears to me that you're in distress. When she heard my voice, she bristled and tried to run away. She didn't go far, though, ran into a rock. She stopped, lay flat on the ground, and she didn't move. I recognize this is the natural sneaky reaction of the coyote breed. When you catch them red-handed, if they can't run away, they'll lie flat on the ground. I suppose they think they're blending into the surroundings. It's hard to say what they think. Coyotes are different. You don't need to be afraid, ma'am. I'm here to help you. She didn't say a word or move a muscle. Lie still and I'll see if I can get that thing off your head." I don't know how much of this she understood, because you see, coyotes don't speak the same language as dogs. Some of the words are similar and some are not. Modern Doglish and the Coyote dialect both come from the same linguistic root, which was the ancient language spoken by our common ancestors many years ago before the species split into Dogus domesticus and Dogus coyotus. Miss Byrd, something is tickling my nose, and I have been trying to get it off. Maybe it's one of those, you make a wish and it's flown up my nose or something. I don't know. This is pretty technical stuff, and I don't want to bore anyone, but it's important that the reader understand these things. Well, it just so happened that I was fluent in the Coyote dialect, so I decided to address the lady in her own language. "Me not hurt Coyote. Me friend. Me help Missy. Missy have trouble." "You not hurt?" her voice echoed inside the can. "Me not hurt. Me help. Missy Coyote lie still. Not move. Hank fixie real quick." For a long time she didn't speak. Then, "Missy, lie still." So he was calling her Missy because she was a girl. It was important that I got the point across to her that I was a friend, don't you see? Because it would have been very typical coyote behavior for her to jump up once I got the can off her head, tear off one of my ears. They're just a little bit crazy, them coyotes, and you got to be real careful. Anyway, she lay still while I hooked my front paws around the can and she started pulling. I pulled and I tugged and I strained and I grunted, and I finally the can popped free. That's when I got my first look at Missy Coyote's face. I'm not one to gush or be overwhelmed. Let's get that straight right now. My years in the security business have trained me to look upon most things as mere facts. Facts to be gathered and studied and analyzed. I mean, I'd seen women before, lots of them, scads of them. I've been through times in my life when women were hanging all over me and literally couldn't take a step without bumping into an adoring female. If you're a cowdog, you get used to it. It's common knowledge that cowdogs are just a little bit special. Read your dog books and ask anyone who knows about dogs and check it with the experts. They'll tell you that women flip over the cowdogs. Well, what I'm saying is, and I'm just trying to put it into perspective, don't you see, is that I wasn't one of these dogs that chased women all the time or even had much interest in them. But you know what? When I seen Missy Coyote's face with those big eyes and that fine tapered nose, ooh, I got weak in the legs and kind of swimmy in the head. She was the, by George, prettiest thing I'd ever laid my eyes on. Missy Coyote. Pretty. She was still blinking her eyes against the glare of the sun. I guess she'd been in that can for a day or two. And when she got used to the sunlight, she looked me over real close, and then she smiled. I melted. I mean, I actually fell over and started kicking my legs in the air. It was an unconscious, unwanted response, not the kind of reaction you'd expect from a professional cowdog. But as I pointed out before, I was only flesh and blood. Missy didn't understand my spasm, I reckon, and she came over. She had her head cocked to the side like this. Oh well. She said, you can't see. She had her head cocked to the side. And you can't see, because I'm showing you. What's wrong? You sick? Yeah, I'm sick, all right. I need to get out of here. I struggled to my feet and I tried to leave, but my back legs wouldn't function. Not leave, she said. Stay. Tell name. Well, I was sure she could hear my heart beating. I could. It was about to take off the top of my head, to be exact. Me Hank, I finally managed to say. Her eyes brightened. Pretty name, Hunk. Not Hunk. Hank. She nodded. Yes, Hunk. Pretty name. Me like Hunk. Whatever you say. Me called Girl Who Drink Blood. Girl Who Drink Blood? She nodded. You like? There wasn't a whole lot of poetry in that name, seemed to me. Her old lady, or whoever named her, must have been a real barbarian. Me no like. Me call you Missy Coyote. Like Missy Coyote more so. Bloody name, not pretty. She laughed. Bloody name, pretty to Coyote. Coyote, like blood. Make grow strong. Keep hair pretty in winter. Hunk no like blood in winter? Hank eats co-op dog food in winter. No need blood. What means co-op dog food? No can explain. Too complicated. Why Hunk here? Not at the people place with many building and house with chicken. Hank get mad at people. Quit job. People no understand. Hank no more guard chicken. Hank follow outlaw trail. Her eyes widen. Outlaw trail, dangerous. Live out in the wild, coyote around. Coyote not like Hunk. I decided it was time to turn on some of my charm, just a little at the time. Didn't want to give the girl the full load all at once. Missy Coyote like Hank? She smiled. Mercy, made me wink in the legs again. Missy think Hunk cute. Oh, heck, really? Me cute? Her smile faded, but other coyote not think so. Missy have brother named Scrunch, not like ranch dog, hurt if fine. You're Scrunch's sister? I knew about Scrunch, the most notorious outlaw coyote in the whole country. He was big, mean, and utterly heartless. He'd probably killed more chickens on barn cats than any 3 coyotes on the ranch, and it was common knowledge that he'd kill a stray dog just for the sport of it. As a matter of fact, me and Scrunch had met on the field of battle and fought to a draw, which I had considered a victory. That was back in the winter. January, as I recall. Yes, it was, because we fought in the snow. Scrunch was a real thug. How can a nice girl like you have such a bad brother? Hunk, be careful. Maybe go back to ranch. Not safe here. I leaned forward and nuzzled her under the chin with the end of my nose. I ain't scared. Ain't ready to fight a whole family for Missy. I noticed that she started trembling. Thought maybe it was the result of my charm. Then she whispered, Hunk in trouble. Whole family here. Huh? I looked around. She wasn't kidding. The whole dang family had arrived. We was surrounded by lean-limbed, long-haired, scruffy-tailed, yellow-eyed, slack-jawed, hungry-looking coyotes. I was in trouble, fellers, and I had a feeling that a wreck was coming. And that's the end, chapter 7. So who's the true love? Hank has found this girl Coyote, and he's fallen in love with her. Oh my gosh, that's going to cause a problem. Major problem. Because dogs and coyotes are enemies. That's not going to work. So, he's up here telling her, I'll fight the whole family. And about that time, guess what? The family showed up. So, next chapter, 8. Hank runs a bluff. If you don't know what running a bluff means, I want you to find out before I read the next chapter, okay? So it's called Hank Runs a Bluff. Runs a Bluff. B-L-U-F-F. So go find out what that means, okay? See you tomorrow. Bye.